Of course, he's a couple of them, they were old guys. Tell them some of it's too they're fixing to start that construction on the inside. He's cleaned out all the dirt, except for like one or two things. All right. Benton County Commissioners now today, Roseanne, your work share.
Our invocation tonight will be given by Director of Schools, Mark Florence.
Let's pray. Dear gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for the many blessings that you bestowed on us. Lord, we ask you special prayer to be with those in our community that are less fortunate in fighting this weather tonight and the days ahead. Just keep them warm and safe. Lord, we just thank you so much for this beautiful country and ask you to be with our leaders as we begin a new administration. And Lord, be with these county commissioners as they make decisions that's best for our county and pleasing to you. Lord, we just thank you so much for Jesus. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Commissioner Arnold, would you lead us the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
I heard that.
Please press your tablets if you're here, please.
Stephen Stokes, Gary Bird, who else? Kristen.
Number 1 is the approval of the agenda. I need a motion and a second. I have a motion by Commissioner Arnold and a second by Commissioner Price. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Number 2 is the citizens forum. Candy Eaton, please come forward.
Well, I just want to say good evening, and I appreciate the opportunity as a citizen of Benton County to be able to address the commissioners. I want to say that my concern for this evening is a resolution on the agenda that Mayor Mark Ward was gracious enough to sponsor with a request for me to be able to write grants for the animal shelter. The animal shelter is a great passion and concern of mine. I have 3 adopted pets from the shelter at home with me. And so I would be honored if you all supported me in this effort. So thank you. And remember, have your animals spayed, neutered, and chipped. That way, when they won't have to be on the 72-hour hold at the animal shelter, they can go home right quick. So thank you.
Thank you, Candy. Number 3 is Commissioners Forum. Do we have a commissioner? Commissioner Preston, you're recognized.
I'm going to make a challenge tonight. I'm going to challenge the commission, the budget committee, the office of the mayor. This day going forward, I'm asking everybody work towards having a balanced budget, an up and coming budget, with no talk of any property tax increase. This county is very fortunate to have Lori Brasher working with the budget. I consider her to be one of the two smartest I know. I've witnessed Lori working now with 3 county mayors. My observations have shown me she works for the mayor first. The rest of us comes later. Mayor, I'm asking you to go home and think about telling Ms. Brasher you want a balanced budget and no talk of a tax increase. If you do that, that's what you'll get.
I've already done that.
Thank you. I will share a few points to ensure a balanced budget with no tax increase to those of you that want to listen. I'm going to start with Resolution 2 that we've got tonight in our package. Personal property and public utilities combined have a dollar assessment of better than $40 million. The state of Tennessee only allowed Benton County in our 2025 budget to claim 56.22% of these dollars. It has been put to us by our county's property assessor that the assessment percentage given to us by the state will not again be that low if the county elects to pass this reappraisal resolution, and I'm taking his word for this. A few comparisons. In 2024, the assessment number, the percentage they allowed us to claim was 79.69%. This would have added better than $9.5 million to our total assessments. I'm not going to try to get too complicated. You subtract the allowance for contested taxes, you multiply the dollar amount by the county tax rate, 2.7274, and presto, we've increased our budget by better than $260,000. Using an assessment number from 2022 and 21, they give us 91.59 assessment number. That means the percentage we could claim on those 2 properties. Nearly $400,000 difference that would have made. If this resolution passes tonight and brings more work to the assessor's office and more dollars to the county, then I'm okay with that. I'm not sure we don't eventually get these dollars, just not allowed to show in the budget to help balance our budget, to help spread out and pay our bills. How else do you explain the 2024 audit showing budget's estimate by actual property taxes being missed by $587,000? I can't explain that one. The fiscal year, just a few months ago, this fiscal year, the commission voted to remove severance tax going to the county and put it into the highway department account, under the disguise that Benton County had not met the 5-year average for the highway department. Budget estimated this amount of severance tax going to the general fund for $97,000. Put these dollars back in the general fund and lessen the chance for a tax increase. Back in 2017, the state lawmakers voted to raise gas taxes 4 cents. 2018, 1 cent. 2019, 1 more cent. These many extra dollars have been allocated to the many highway departments across our state. 2017, the gas tax allocated to our highway department here in Camden was a little better than $1.6 million. In 2024, it was just shy of $3 million. 77% increase in 7 years. So the next time you're told the highway department dollars aren't growing, don't be so quick to believe it. 2024 budget estimate. Budget estimates for a local option sales tax going to the school, $3,184,000. The actual tax dollars for that year was $3,699,165. Underestimated actual dollars by $515,000. Again, in 2025, budget's estimate for local option sales tax going to the school is the same, $3,184,000 going to the school. Looking over the account analysis, local option is on target to be increased this year by $86,000, a variance of $601,000. A missed opportunity estimate is $601,000 below what's actual dollars are going to be. I'm asking budget to increase the school's local option sales tax to move property tax from the school to the general fund, ensuring us that there will not be a property tax increase. This will not affect the maintenance of efforts. You raise the estimate on local option sales tax, you move money from property tax back to the general fund. The mayor did that 2 years ago. Of the Benton County's 2.7274 tax rate, 1.0297 goes to our schools. Of the state's 95 counties, only 6 counties in our state pay more property tax cents to their county schools than we do. Coffee, Hardeman, Henry, Shelby, Sumner, Williamson. You'll be told tonight, you'll be told tomorrow, you'll be told sometimes that we have more money from property tax going to school because we don't have a wheel tax. 36 counties in the state of Tennessee that don't have a wheel tax. Only one of those counties pay more money to their local schools and county cents than we do. That would be Coffee County. Chairman, I got a question.
I was gonna give you an extra minute.
I'm going to stop there. I have a lot of questions about the budget, but I'm stopping there. There's another subject I want to talk to everybody about real quick. Covia. Covia is the sand company, Highway 70 west of here. They ask under the Lashley mayorship for the county road that travels through their properties. Some of you remember it, some of you don't. The reason being, the sand under this road is a very high quality, high demand sand. I was a part of that conversation. I fussed, some listened, some didn't, about the severance tax that I claimed wasn't being paid. The subject kind of just went away. Recently, Covia has laid off 5 hourly employees and 1 salary employee. I've known several to have worked there. I know 2 or 3 out there that's been there for decades. I know one that just retired there that spent a life out there working, a loader, front end loader. Covia, with some of the county's highest paying jobs, almost no turnover, and almost no turnover means it's a good job. Across Highway 70 is Meldon's Trucking Company, who depends on hauling for Covia and pays the largest, last time I checked, they paid the largest amount of ad valorem tax of any of the local truck companies. I've decided, I think that these jobs are more important than the subjects of severance we're getting or we're not getting. I'm going to say it one more time. I think these jobs at Covia is more important than the severance tax. It wasn't decided if they were being paid or they weren't being paid. I asked the mayor, I asked the commission, I asked the highway department chief to sit at the table with this company Covia and consider a conversation with them about giving them this county road, work out the terms on it, maybe protect the rest of the jobs that remain out there. Let's hope it brings some jobs back. That being said, I'm going to yield the floor, and I beg everybody, please, let's consider this conversation. Thank you.
The mayor would like to respond.
Rocky, there has been a lot of talk and negotiation with Covia over the last 2 years. You know, when I first came in office, they weren't paying their severance tax, and they were asking about the road, and I told them we wouldn't even negotiate until they started paying their severance tax. Well, during that time, they got a new plant manager, and he contacted me, and we've been talking quite a bit, and they've started paying their severance tax now. So I have a meeting set up with the property chairman, Buck, and myself with the plant manager Thursday at 10 o'clock to discuss the road that you're talking about. And we'll work something out where they can get that sand out from under the road. It's about $2 million worth of sand. So since they're paying their severance tax, I don't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
So we are working on it. You hadn't heard much about it, but we have been working on it. And
You're right. You're telling me something I didn't know about. Thank you.
thanks.
Any other commissioner want to speak? Okay, we move on to number 4. Is our county mayor? Do you have anything?
I don't have anything, but I'd like to ask Ryan Hall to come up and give his pitch on what Rocky was talking about in the very first about the reappraisal, if you don't mind, Ryan.
Thank you for having me tonight. Those that have attended the property committee meetings and budget, this will be your third helping of this. I'll try to go as quick as I can, but there have been some conversation and concern out in the public about our reasoning behind this. And to be honest with you, there's one main reason that Benton County is wanting to go from a 5 plan to a 4-year plan. We've been on a 5-year reappraisal plan for many, many years now, probably since the early 2000s. I didn't go way back, but it's been a long time. This is not something that's just for us individually here in Benton County. I talked to my representative at CTAS this weekend. He said currently, to his knowledge, there were 10 other counties in some stage of a process of this. And the main reason why is what they call a ratio study. If you look down on your resolution tonight, at the very bottom, it talks about a ratio study. And it says that Benton County, if we go to a 4-year, will have to agree to a 2-year ratio study. But it doesn't mention the 4-year ratio study. And the reason why it doesn't is because if we vote to go with a 4-year, it completely eliminates that. So the next question, especially those that are watching out in the community, what in the world is a ratio study? Well, a ratio is a kind of a complicated subject, but as simply as I can put it, by state law, if you're on a 5-year reappraisal plan, in the 2nd year and the 4th year of your reappraisal plan, which the one we just came from, we reappraised in 2020. So in 2022, by law, we had a ratio study, and in 2024, we had a ratio study. They take a screenshot of how much higher properties are selling for, and in our case, that's been at historic levels for the whole state of Tennessee. And they calculate these sales, and it comes up with a percentage number. And this is called a ratio percentage, and it basically shows you how far you are from when they reappraised it. Well, this used to not be that big of a deal until the housing market that we saw from COVID from 2020 until now, where we typically lost in Benton County on past reappraisals. We would be falling behind about 2% a year, something like that on average. Well, we've been losing 10 and even more than that percent, especially in our residential markets. And so this ratio study does several things. Number one, I want to talk about how it affects the most needy in our community, our low-income senior citizens and our disabled veterans, those that have been deemed by the state of Tennessee to receive tax relief. So Miss Beverly Bill in the trustee's office handles this program. She submits the paperwork to the state. So I went down to her first and I said, how much more money did our low-income seniors, our senior citizens that are on a fixed income, that have been deemed low income, how much did they have to pay because of this ratio? Well, Ryan, why do they have to pay more as a senior citizen? Well, by law, their house and their property that they're receiving the benefit on is worth this much more. So in the state's eyes, their assets are worth more. Well, it costed our low-income seniors about $50 more in taxes this year. That's according to Ms. Bill, somewhere around $50. Now, our disabled veterans, those that have served our country, those that have been deemed disabled now by the state, they had to pay, according to Ms. Bill, close to $300 more. So this is real dollars and cents to those in our community. But let's talk about how it affected our county budget. And Commissioner Preston touched on this a while ago. Because as it affects our residential and our most needy negatively, it actually has the reverse effect on certain sections of our commercial areas. So by law, tangible personal property assets, this is in businesses, this is their assets. If this was an office setting, it would be these tables, these chairs, these computers. By law, they have to turn into me every year a personal property schedule. So in theory, they are reappraised every year on a yearly basis. They receive a reduction of this ratio percentage. It's automatically applied to their appraisal. So the best I've got it figured from my numbers, this costed Benton County about $255,200 in tax revenue last year. That's on our personal property. The second group of commercial businesses that I want to discuss that receives this reduction is those that are assessed directly by the Office of State Assessed Properties. These do not come through my office at all. I have no access to these appraisals other than a yearly report. These are handled directly through this department under the comptroller's umbrella. These would be barge companies, railroads that operate through our county, cell phone towers, trucking companies that operate across state lines, and others. But these companies receive a reduction. And the best I've got it figured, this come up to about $216,468. This came from the Director of Office of State Property, Mr. Greg Moody. The last company, the last entity that receives this reduction that it costs the county is our public utility company. Some counties have a private, some counties have a public. This ratio law applies to each situation. So by law, our electric company did nothing outside the law. They received this reduction of what they paid the county in lieu of taxes. I called Scott at the electric company. He got with his staff. They provided me a number of $102,301 less that they would have paid without this ratio reduction. So that comes up to just shy of $574,000 that Benton County took a hit on. That come up to about 20 cents out of our 27274 that Commissioner Preston told us. So that's a pretty big hit. Now the last group I want to talk about, a commissioner asked me last week, he said, how does all this affect the average citizen? Well, let's think about it like this. Nobody likes reappraisal, right? Nobody likes to have to go through reappraisal. But it's state law, and it's going to come every 4 or 5 years. So think about this. If we would have a reappraisal in a 4-year period, and the values have been going up an average to 10 to 12% a year, you would actually have a lower appraisal increase if we had it at a 4-year time period. Because if the market continues to grow, you would cap it at the 4-year. But let's think about it like this. What if this thing crashes? What if our houses crash in value? Well, people are going to be begging for a reappraisal then. They don't want it now. You don't want it if your house is going up. You want the tax appraisal to be less. But if this thing crashes, then you're going to be begging for a reappraisal, and we're going to be locked in. So it would address that sooner too. So that is just some of the areas that to consider. As far as my office is concerned, it will increase our workload. I'm not going to ask for any additional staff, any additional monies outside of the normal budgeting in a reappraisal year. We will absorb this work if this is what this body decides to do to save these residentials from their reduction of benefit and to save the county this reduction in tax revenue. So if anybody has any questions, I would be glad to answer those real quick. Yes, sir.
All right, we talked about the commercial side of it, we talked about the tangible sides of it. So how much more if we took in residential property taxes since 2021, or since the last appraisal? And we got to remember we took off that 21 cents. How much money has the residents of Benton County paid extra, and including new homes and things of that nature, and the sale of people selling Grandy's house and making a big buck on it?
I do not have that number. I would have gotten that if I'd have known. But of course, you have new construction, you have personal property that increases. So the county does take in extra revenue every year. And whether you go with a 4-year or a 5-year, new construction and all that new growth never factors in to that rate.
4-year thing, I agree with you that way. If something does happen, then you're going to get a reappraisal from the state, which the state says on how much they took in.
That's right. Yes, sir. That's correct. Now that's that certified tax rate, and we're going to talk about that next month. Yeah, but yes, a reappraisal as far as the state's concerned will be revenue neutral.
Well, the main thing is we talk about what we lost in commercial and with the drop in the rates and all of that, the ratio thing. But the ratio thing is mainly just coming back where the state comes back and reappraises you in 4 years. They could actually do you in 3 and they could do you in 6, right? Depending on what you want to do.
A 6-year plan is out there. There's just a very few counties that are on that now, because actually you have a mini reappraisal in a 3-year period. They call it a CVU. And they actually, so I don't think, and it doesn't help you with the ratio situation either. Yeah. So yeah, that's the 6 year. They're really, fact is, the state legislatures almost done away with the 5 and 6 last year completely. And you was only going to have a 4, 3, and 2 year. But that failed. They're leaving it up to individual counties, and the commissioners are changing it as they come to it.
My main concern was, we lost a little on commercial, we lost a little on tangible, things of that nature. But you can talk to Beverly, I didn't have time to pull that today. But, there's residents have paid a lot more, and it's due to the fact of selling and building and things of that nature. But I don't want to give a number what I thought it was, but the residential covers that amount quite a bit.
I can give you those numbers. I have researched that. We bring in about $100,000 more a year since 2020. $100,000 more in sales tax. In property tax from the new.
100?
Yeah, from the new property tax from the new construction.
Right.
So it increases 100,000 in 21. So it would have increased 200,000 in 22, 300,000 in 23. It went up 100,000 per year over the last 5 years.
New construction.
From the new construction and
what
all that.
about on the reappraisals?
Well, we don't have a reappraisal since 2020.
We've had values go up. But anyways, that's
No, the values went up, but we have not reappraised them, so it hadn't made anybody's property taxes go up. But what Ryan's trying to say, and I agree with him 100%, the ratio that happens in year 2 and in year 4, the first ratio, it dropped it down to about, 76%?
I think we were at 0.72.
72.
I think that's what it was.
So the further it goes and the more the houses prices go up, that 4th year is where it went to 56.
Mm-hmm.
So we were only collecting half, a little bit more than half. So if you go with a 4 year, you don't have that second ratio because you're doing a reappraisal that year. So it fixes it without having that ratio. These companies have learned these ratios and they'll sue you about it.
They do. I did not mention that, but companies have hired, there's one in particular, I won't mention the name, but you could probably guess there's one in just about every county. They are playing that game. They get that. If they file with the courts and their main purpose is to clog the courts up in Nashville, and so we've only collected on what the uncontested amount is, so we're not stuck paying them back if they get this ratio. But yeah, it's a bad deal on this ratio. These companies are using it against counties to hurt them.
But this is a way around it to get rid of that second ratio. Just do your appraisal that year and you don't have that ratio. So I think it's a no-brainer personally.
I agree with you when I'm saying the ratio thing, but I'm just talking about the commercial, the tangible, and all the stuff we got there. I believe we took, and I understand the $100,000, $200,000 and all that on new construction. But our property values have went up with changes that you've made to your home, and it's based on.
You're going to see that during his reappraisal.
Oh yeah, it's going to jump.
Yeah.
That's the reason it's going to probably drop down.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is we'll look into see and talk with Beverly and just see how much difference we're paying between 2020 on residential and what we got now.
Yeah, that number fluctuates every year based on changes that are made, and we've got 17,000 parcels, so there's situations that change all the time, every day. That's what me and my staff do, is maintain correct data on parcels. And
You're right. The 4 years sounds like a great thing because the more
I don't want the community to be confused and think that we're trying to do something. That was my main goal. I hope this data tonight will show the community what our angle is on this. Whether you reappraise it 4 or 5, they're going to do the same thing by law. Nothing's going to change on that process. There'll be a certified rate. There'll be appraisal increases based on the sales data. And we'll talk about that before the change notices go out in March next month. But tonight, if you decide to go with this 4 year and vote the majority on that, we've got everything in place and we'll implement that and go forward for the people.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about the poor and disadvantaged paying more, and we've talked about the commercial upper accounts paying less. What about the middle of the road, the school teacher or the grocery store worker that's not in poverty but
Mhm.
in the middle, how did the ratio affect them?
The ratio as far as what I mentioned here with what Beverly would have handled did not affect them at all. If we, as their appraisal goes up every year, it'll eventually affect them in reappraisal, and it'll affect our change of our tax rate and that whole process. But the ratio did not cost the average person out there, unless the ratio ever hurt us enough that we had to raise property taxes that year, then that would affect everybody. But the ratio study only affected directly those groups that I mentioned, positively or negatively.
I would like to add one thing to that. If you don't vote for the 4-year and we do have the ratio in the 4th year again, it will affect the middle of the road people, the landowners, the homeowners and all that, because we will have to have a property tax increase to make up that $600,000. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
We've made it by because we've had extra money, but it's not going to continue. I mean, we can, the one, you're on the budget committee, you can see what we're dealing with.
Sure.
So this is a plan to stop that from happening so we don't have to raise property taxes.
One more question. Say Granny's got a house there, it's $100 grand, 75, $100 grand. 5 houses come in around her and build $350,000, $400,000 homes all around her. Does her value go up and she have to pay more taxes?
So your appraisal is based on your square footage, whether you have brick, whether you have vinyl. So each house is a standalone appraisal, what year it was built. Now, if you have empty lots, say, and everybody pays way up for these other lots, then in reappraisal, that lot's going to appraise by that sales data. So the cost to build a house changes in a 5-year period, as everyone out there listening would know how much that's increased. All you have to do is talk to your homeowner's insurance agent on that. Yes, appraisals are affected at reappraisal by sales data that's surrounding that. But just Granny's house may have been built in the 40s, and these new houses are built in 2024.
Right.
So her house is not going to be appraised at the same level as a new construction.
Well, her place is going to go up because the value of the property around her went up.
Now, if Granny built hers in 1970 and everybody around it built it in 1970, and they're all cookie cutter, 1,200 square foot, whatever you want to say, the same house, and everybody's paid $300 for those, and Granny's house is the same type house in the same year as everybody else's, more than likely Granny's going to be appraised at the same, because it will be apples and apples.
I think that's where I'm getting at. The residents of Benton County has paid quite a bit. We really need to pull them numbers and look how much we've paid since 2020. I knew we took out that 21 cents.
22 is what we lowered for. Yes, sir. That was the ratio. That was the certified rate. Well, yeah, there's been a lot. Appraisals change all the time, but anyways, tonight this 4-year plan will eliminate that ratio study. Okay.
But it will bring in more money for the county. Is that the whole purpose of this, the property?
It will in personal property, Office of State Assessed Property, and utility.
No, that's not what he's saying.
That's commercial properties. Doesn't have anything to do with your 25% assessment.
It'll bring in more money from the 3 entities that he just discussed, because they won't get the discount from the ratio that the state is putting on us on a second round of ratios on the 4th year.
What I was saying is that I think we paid quite a bit more in the 4 years on the residential side.
No.
I may not.
No, it's not true.
Right. Yeah. What is that for?
My taxes have been the same the last 4 years on 40 houses. It don't go up until you have a reappraisal and then a tax increase. The reappraisal is not going to make people's houses go up. The tax increase, if this body puts it on it, is what will make it go up.
Just setting another baseline.
Yeah.
Saying, hey,
We'll bring in the
everybody
same
in
amount
house
of
is
money.
worth 50% more than what it is, and we're going to start there and go from there.
Ron, I thought of something. When you said we had 17,000 parcels, I know the state gives you so many employees according to however many parcels we've got.
Yes, ma'am.
How many employees per parcels, or how do they figure that? I mean, I think there's been one hired extra when
No.
that law went into effect.
Well, I think, now the last time, and our parcel count changes daily as, old West Vaco properties get busted up into 50 new parcels. That's going on all over the county. But the last time I checked it, and that law was put into effect in the 60s when the responsibilities of the assessor's office was totally different. But I think I am supposed to have myself and 2 3/4 employees, something like that. So it's been the same staffing since Miss Linda Armstrong. I think Mr. Bob Farmer had a part-time maybe that he worked, and that was be considered extra, plus the assessor and 3 staff members. So Miss Linda done away with that position, and it's been that way ever since. And we are still in full compliance with the comptroller's office on our number of employees.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that all? Thank you.
Anyone else?
Ms. Haslam, do you want to speak on your 2 resolutions now? Do you need to speak to the commission about them, or are you good?
If they have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Okay, so you'll be here when they are voting on. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Chairman, can we hear Commissioner Miller's thoughts on this subject?
If he wants to give us his thought, he's welcome
4
to.
years sounds like a good idea.
Okay. Well, moving on to number 5 is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Need a motion and a second. Have a motion by Commissioner Nunnery and a second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor of approving the minutes from the previous meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Minutes are approved. Number 6 is the report of the public utilities. Need a motion and a second, please. Motion by Nunnery and a second by Murphy. All in favor of the report of the public utilities, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Now we are down to our resolutions, which is Resolution 1 is requesting to name a section of Highway 641 North near Camden in the honor and memory of Chief Deputy Michael W. Lockhart of the Benton County Sheriff's Department. I have a motion by Commissioner Price and a second by Commissioner Melton. Anyone want to make any statements? Okay, if there are none, if you're in favor, please vote.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries.
Number 8 on your agenda is Resolution 2. It's a resolution by Mayor Mark Ford to establish a 4-year reappraisal cycle for Benton County pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated 67-5-1601. I have a motion by Commissioner Melton and a second by Commissioner Nunnery. Are there any other questions? Okay, I see none, so everyone please vote.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries. 15 yes, 1 no.
Number 9 on your agenda is Resolution 3. It's a resolution by Sheriff Ken Christopher to budget funds in the amount of $775 received from various sources into the proper line items for expenditure. We have a motion by Commissioner Melton and a second by Commissioner Hall. Any questions? Are none, so please vote.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries. 16.
Number 10 on your agenda is Resolution 4. It's a resolution by Director of Schools Mark Florence to budget funds in the amount of $1,500 received as a gift from U Trust to the school's budget. I have a motion by Commissioner Holland and a second by Commissioner Melton. Any questions? Okay, I see none, so let's vote.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carried, 16 yes.
Number 11 is Resolution 5. It's a resolution by Director of Schools Mark Florence to budget funds in the amount of $5,000 received as a grant from the Tennessee Educator Survey Staff Appreciation Grant to the school's budget. I have a motion by Commissioner Arnold and a second by Commissioner Holland. Any questions? There are none, so please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carried, 16 yes.
Number 12 is Resolution 6. It's a resolution by Director of Schools Mark Florence to budget funds in the amount of $9,999 received as a Project Raise grant to the school's budget. I have a motion by Commissioner Price and a second by Commissioner Melton. Any questions? There are none, so everyone please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carried, 16 yes.
Number 13 is Resolution 7. It's a resolution by Director of Schools Mark Florence to budget funds in the amount of $3,455.29 received from insurance recovery to the school's budget. I have a motion by Commissioner Melton and a second by Commissioner King. Any questions? There are none, so please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carried, 16 yes.
Number 14 is Resolution 8. It's a resolution by Mayor Mark Ward to appoint Johnny Bilal to the Benton County Airport Board to fulfill an unexpired term. I have a motion by Commissioner Arnold and a second by Commissioner King. Anyone have any questions or want to ask Mr. Bilal anything? He is in the audience. Okay, so everyone please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carried, 16 yes.
Number 15 is Resolution 9. It's a resolution by Mayor Mark Ward to budget funds in the amount of $8,000 received from the Benton County Senior Center from the TCAD grant to proper line items for expenditure. I have a motion by Commissioner Melton and a second by Commissioner Douglas. Anyone have any questions about this? Okay, since there are none, everyone please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carried, 16 yes.
Number 16 is Resolution 10. It's a resolution by Mayor Mark Ward to give Candy Eaton permission to pursue grants for and on behalf of the Benton County Animal Shelter with the compensation of 2% for the grant monies secured. I have a motion by Commissioner Murphy and a second by Commissioner Arnold. Anyone have any questions? Okay. There are none, so please vote.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carried, 16 yes.
Number 17 is Resolution 11. It's by Mayor Mark Ward to make needed changes and updates to the Benton County travel policy. I have a motion by Commissioner Melton and a second by Commissioner Arnold. Do we have any questions about the travel policy? Okay, there are none, so please vote.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
Number 18, which is Resolution 12, is sponsored by Mayor Mark Ward to appropriate and budget funds in the amount of $98,417.54 to cover the county's obligation with regards to the clerk and master's property sale. We have a motion to bring it to the floor by Commissioner Burke and a second by Commissioner Arnold. Does anyone have any questions for the mayor? Okay, since there are none, everyone please vote. And this does take a 2/3 vote.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
Number 19, which is Resolution 13, is a resolution by Mayor Mark Ward to appropriate and budget funds in the amount of $8,000 to cover a shortfall in the internet connectivity. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Melton. I need a second. Commissioner Arnold. Any questions about this one? Commissioner Preston, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a question, Mayor. The county buildings account at the beginning of the fiscal year is a little over $400,000. That $8,000 you're asking for, has it been considered take from another line item in that account?
No, it hasn't. The county buildings is broken up into, 30 or 40 different line items, and it's appropriated for what it's appropriated for. What happened here is we was breaking this out. All that money was in phones and internet combined, and Ms. Brasher asked us to separate the internet out of that, so it would be 2 different line items. And at budget time, we left, there wasn't enough appropriated. The budget committee didn't understand how many different internet services we had across the county with the seniors, the animal shelter, the jail, the courthouse, and there was not enough appropriated in there for the year. So this is just putting money in there to get us through the end of the year. This, in budget time, we'll understand that and make the, internet's went up a lot also. So we'll be able to adjust that at budget time, but we need to appropriate this money to be able to pay the bills the rest of the year.
I'll thank you for that response.
Any other questions? Okay, there are none, so everyone please vote.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
Number 20 is Resolution 14, sponsored by Mayor Mark Ward to appropriate and budget funds in the amount of $5,500 to cover an expenditure obligation, Community Development Partners. I have a motion by Commissioner Melton and a second by Commissioner Burke. Anyone have any questions?
May I speak on this after their question?
Did you want?
My
Yeah.
question is, who is Community Development Partner LLC?
Okay. You're
So
recognized.
they're the ones that's over, she's a grant writer that's over most of our grants. This particular grant, is this over the ARPA money?
Yeah, this was, where she had done work here on the ARPA stuff as well as other grants. And when budget time came, we had to disperse all the monies out of ARPA by the end of the, calendar year that just ended in 24. We did not have any invoices or anything from her or anything, so therefore we didn't allow any money for, for her services, so it has to be appropriate.
So what he's saying is, if we didn't take the money out of the ARPA account and use it all, then we would have lost it. We still have all the money, we just moved it to different line items. But in looking at her bill, I think there's $50,000 left that is owed to her from ARPA money. But it's not owed to her until she completes her duties. And so she bills us for that stuff every month or 2. And Phil and I talked about it. There's no reason to appropriate from the ending fund balance until we need to. So we'll be coming to you again, but we don't know if it's gonna be billed by the end of the fiscal year. So there's no reason to appropriate it, but I would like for someone to amend this to $9,500 instead of 55, because we got a $4,000 bill in the mail today. And it would save us from having to do it next month if y'all deem that okay. We could go ahead and get her paid for what she's billed. We've went, 8 months without getting a bill from her. So, but she's done some work on this and she's turned in her bills. Like I said, one of them came in the mail today, so it came in after we had written this resolution. But it really does need to be amended to 9,500 so we can pay the 2 bills that she's sent us.
I'll make the motion, we amend it to 9,500.
And we have a motion. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Nunnery to amend to 9,500. Do we have a second? Okay. I think Kenneth Miller said he would second it. Mm-hmm. Mayor, when you say she, are you talking about Miss Maddie Cushman?
Yes. Best grant writer in the state.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you'll be voting on the amendment this time. So if you're for the amendment, please vote.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Amendment 16, yes.
Okay, the amendment passed, so now we will vote on the resolution as it was amended to $9,500. Are you ready? Okay, now we're voting on the resolution as it was amended.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries, 16 yes.
Item 21 on your agenda is Resolution 15. It's by Mayor Mark Ward to appropriate and budget monies in the amount of $20,000 to cover the county share of an $80,000 airport grounds maintenance grant. I have a motion by Commissioner Arnold, and it is seconded by Holland, and it's seconded by Commissioner Arnold. Any questions?
What is the maintenance? What is a maintenance grant and what do we got? What are we buying with it or what are we doing?
Well, it's listed in the resolution what some of our portion we're spending on. I'd like for Ms. Haslam to come and explain that to you, if you don't mind. That'd be great.
Thank you.
I wrote up the equipment in the resolution that lists everything that I currently have allocated to that grant. All of the grant total is not dedicated quite yet. We have some other issues at the airport that I want to make sure that I don't pre-allocate that until I see what other equipment we may need. This is a grant that we get every 6 years, so we have to have the foresight to see what equipment we have and how much longer it will last. So you have listed in your resolution the equipment, which is the side-by-side, which is necessary to do an adequate runway and taxiway inspection each day. We are currently doing that from a personal vehicle, which is impossible to do to safely evaluate the runway. We find screws, metal, washers, dead animals, bones. We find a variety of things on the runway. You'll be able to get a much closer, more thorough inspection done with something like that. We also need that piece of equipment for perimeter surveillance, the fence, surveying that. We have a lot of marshy area at the airport. So as Jeff is going around doing maintenance around the fence perimeter, that's necessary for that. Also is a stand-on blower. It's a storm blower. That's for keeping the taxiway, the runway, the apron area clear. Anytime Jeff is mowing and weed eating, we have a lot of debris from that bush hogging. And when the helicopters come in, that pushes that debris onto the taxiway, runway, apron. He spends a lot of hours out there with the leaf blower trying to get that area clean. That will speed up that process tremendously. Also a spray system that goes on the side-by-side for spraying all the runway lights. We have many of those. Takes a lot of time to spray. We spray the fence area around the chain link on the entrance. And then another zero-turn mower. We have hundreds of hours on our current zero-turn mower. Like I said, we get this grant every 6 years, so we are looking out to have a backup mower in the event this one goes down. We have to have equipment to be able to maintain the airport. And again, we have a few $1,000s left, as you all see in your resolution. I don't know if the totals are in there. Are the totals in there for the equipment? They're not. Okay. We do have about 19,000 left that is not allocated. I'm working with TDOT to see what equipment we are needing, if it's covered under that, before we make those final decisions.
I will say that we probably need to purchase this stuff while we're only having to pay 25% of it. The state's paying the other
60.
75%. So it does help us out.
Yeah. We bought this equipment. We've done this same grant in previous years as well. This is not a new grant. That's how the grants like this are how we've gotten our larger equipment. Our larger tractor and batwing mower and all of that equipment. So
You talk about your new zero-turn mowers. On your, are you looking at maybe changing everything over to diesel? Do we have to haul gasoline out there?
we do. We do. This particular zero turn is a diesel for longevity reasons. Jeff mows a lot. He keeps it extremely nice. It's very pristine out there. If you all have not visited, we encourage you to come out. This has a rear discharge on it, so it's less of a chance to be spraying debris onto the runway and taxiway as he's mowing. Of course, as we zero turn around those runway lights, you're always going to get a degree of debris on there. But I feel like this mower will have quite a life expectancy for us.
Do you have a price on the jet blower?
Yes, I had to get quotes. I had to prepare a whole portfolio for this for TDOT with multiple quotes and present that to them. I tried to keep our purchases as local as I could for businesses that offered, the equipment, the caliber of equipment that we're needing. So I was able to keep everything within Paris, Clarksville area. Tennessee Tractor, keeping it, we have accounts with them. And I also wanted to keep it with businesses that value our airport and make us important in the event we have a breakdown or we need maintenance or we need a repair, that we can get that done in a timely manner and we don't have to haul it, far away to get that work done.
So everything you've got about $19,000 extra right now.
Right now.
How long would you have before you could use that?
1 year. 1 year. The grant is already in effect, so we have 1 year to spend it. And like I said, I'm very cautious in my spending as I am with my maintenance grant. We get the maintenance grant. Budget committee's familiar with that. Some of you commissioners are familiar with that. We get $15,000 a year maintenance grant. I'm very cautious in spending that early. TDOT likes us to spend it incrementally throughout the year, but my PCL went out, which is my pilot controlled lighting. So when our pilots come in, they click on their yoke for our runway lights to get brighter. So if I had spent that maintenance grant early on and prematurely, I would not have had the $9,000 that I need to fix that runway lighting. So I used the same approach with this grant. We have those primary things that we know we need, but I want to sit on this other remaining funds to see if we have an event with a piece of equipment we currently have that I may need to replace, or as we approach the deadline of the grant, see what best fits our needs, or if we have a need. If we don't have a need, that portion of that $20,000 will be returned to the county. So it's not imperative that we spend the entire 80. I just want to spend it wisely and at least get halfway or more throughout the grant to see what our needs look like closer to that deadline.
Does that 20,000 there, does it come out of the profit of the fuel, or where does it come from?
Well, it comes from the ending fund balance, or undesignated fund balance, but that's where all the fuel sales go and all the profit from the fuel sales go.
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, it's coming from her fuel sales. You can speak on that if you want to until we were having like $4,000
Yeah.
a month fuel sales prior to her taking over, and now it's like $25,000 in fuel sales
Well,
a month.
I'll touch on that briefly. I'm not going to load you guys down with a bunch of random totals. So fiscal year 22-23, we sold a total of $79,362 worth of fuel. That was prior to my appointment. Fiscal year 23-24, which was my first year at the airport, we sold a total of $109,006 worth of fuel, totaling the first year, I'm sorry, I'm going to back up. Total gallons. Gallons are important to me. That number is important. That's our profit number, because fuel prices fluctuate. So we always need to focus on the gallons sold, because as fuel prices fluctuate, it's hard to calculate the profit margin of that. So in the 22-23 year, we sold 9,218 gallons previous to my appointment. Last fiscal year, 23-24, we sold 17,897 gallons. And this half fiscal year, July to today, we've sold 28,204 gallons of fuel. So we've went from 9,200 to 28,204 mid-fiscal year.
And just know the county makes 80 cents a gallon. So look at how much she's put in the county coffers with that.
Do we have line numbers where we keep track of how much we pay for fuel and how much we make for fuel?
She keeps up with all that. She keeps up with it.
I would like an itemized thing, because this next one is another, I've noticed in the last 3 months, we've had 2 resolutions for $50,000 for fuel.
Yes.
I understand that a fuel tanker has been rented out there and somebody's gotta drive it. I'm wondering where the 80 cents that we're getting off selling fuel, how that's offset when we're paying the rent on the fuel tanker, plus paying a driver to drive it and stuff. So I would like an itemized to show why all of a sudden we're having every 3 months 50,000 going out for fuel purchases that we have not had in the past.
Well, you've not had that in the past because we weren't selling the fuel. So we can't, according to the budget committee and Mayor Ward, we can't allocate my full amount that I need to purchase fuel in the beginning of the year, because that obviously raises our budget tremendously, and that will inevitably must raise property taxes. So when we allocate it like this, it does not affect our property tax, and it does not raise my budget. So all of the money, all I'm doing is borrowing the money. I'm putting it back into the general account with a profit. So this is my only way to get the revenue to keep the airport fueled, and it's with a profit. So you're getting every dime of this 50,000 back with an 80 cents per gallon, that's why I spoke about the total gallons. You're getting that 50,000 back with 80 cents on top of each gallon I sell.
But the rent for the fuel truck has gotta come out of that.
It does. It
So
does.
how does that, that's what I want,
Right.
itemized things, so you have to see how that's offsetting, paying for the rent, but how are you making money if you're paying for rent on the truck and somebody to drive it? You see
Okay.
what
I
I'm
do.
saying?
No.
80 cents doesn't come to you. I drove a semi truck.
Yes,
I
me
know
too.
what it,
Me too.
what it costs.
We
You know
don't
what,
move the truck. The truck isn't even licensed or registered. That truck just sits on the apron and the jets pull up to the truck. The truck does overwing and underwing fueling, which means it allows us to do single point fueling. So single point is where a jet has, which is a majority of our business, has a port on the side. Typically it can be over the wing, under the wing, behind the wing. You open the door, you attach an adapter and lock it into place, and you've got a dead man in your hand and you fuel that. We've never had the opportunity to be able to fuel those aircraft in the past. It's a very fast fueling process, and it is very clean. You don't have fuel caps. It's very quick. It also increases our airport safety tremendously. We no longer have helicopters trying to land and maneuver around our fuel farm. We also don't have these large jets that we have coming in now trying to maneuver around our fuel farm and getting up close. They just park on the apron where the fuel truck is located. We pull out the hose and fuel them, and they're off.
What is the rent on that, and does it still run through our meters? How do you keep track of it? Does that fuel tanker have its own meter reading?
It does. It does. Yes, it has its own. I track that separately from the fuel farm. So I have two different sets of data now where I track the fuel sales from the fuel farm, which is both AV and jet, but only over the wing. So it has a nozzle. I got two tanks. I got two 10,000 gallon tanks and two pumps. So the fuel farm fuels both. However, the fuel farm did not have single point fueling. There was an old single point nozzle that was at the airport when I came there, but it was not legal to use. It did not have a pressure regulator on it, and it also did not have a dead man control. So if you had an issue, you really had no safe way to shut that down, and you also stood a huge chance of busting a bladder on an aircraft by using that, because they all have a fuel bladder. So you need that dead man.
Do we rent that tanker from Titan?
We do, yes.
Do they charge us for the gallons that go through it, or about the monthly charge?
They charge us a flat rate of $1,000 a month.
So you,
Yes.
you consider that she sold 26,000 gallons so far this year. At 80 cents a gallon, you're looking at $22,000.
Yeah, I
It's,
like
it's
it.
costing us,
July.
it's costing us
July.
it's costing us $1,000 a month for the truck, but it has another benefit. When she's selling so much fuel, she only has 10,000 gallons, and you have to wait until it gets down to around 2,000 to order. It's giving us 3,000 more gallons of fuel there, so we can still fuel while we're waiting on the next tank to come.
So,
I'm
some,
in all that.
and,
When you're
and,
selling that kind of volume, you have to have a bigger supply.
Did you say
and-
we done issued 150,000 already? I don't remember that.
In October, yeah.
We did?
yes, and I spent that already.
Do you know what 26,000 gallons at $4 a gallon costs? I mean, that's $100,000.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I pulled it Beverly's here, and it's right at close. It's 105,000 what we took in. You paid on the fuel side, so we've been out 50,000 already. You know, that we made $5,000 on the fuel side of it. Then you're saying another $1,000 for the tanker side of it. You know, it's a little different, but I mean, if it's making money, but like I said, she said you checked in 105,000.
Well, she's not gotten anything for this month, obviously. Yes, because she will get her deposits at the end of this month. And also some deposits come in a little bit later, not most of the time we get reimbursement within 2 to 3 days, but with the holidays, I have noticed some deposits are a little bit behind.
The other thing is you still,
Yes,
you've got
and
all that fuel on hand.
I just came in,
It's good for 6 months unless you double it up.
Well, it's not less than 6 months.
I don't have 6
No, it
months.
does, yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
Well, and the fuel truck allowed us to avoid a large price increase just this past week. I track price trajectory each week and graph it, and I knew it was looking like there was going to be a big increase. If we had not had the truck, I could not have gotten the load in that we got Saturday, and that allowed us to avoid a 26-cent increase this morning. So without that volume and having that capacity to bring that fuel in when we did, that would have forced us to take that 26-cent hit per gallon.
I like the airport being up there. I've got a problem with the airport. I was just wondering where the, with most departments, give an itemized thing of what's going out, what's coming in, so we know where the money's going. I've not seen that for the airport, and I was just wondering with the amount, $50,000 every 3 months, how that offset with the expenditures.
Right.
With the fuel tank in that.
Yeah.
Which, when you don't have that, you don't know if it's making money, if it's losing money, where the money's going,
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I welcome any questions. I'm always available to answer questions. Come out to the airport.
She also has a printout every month at her meeting. It shows the exact fuel sales, dollar amount, gallons, and all that, so you can keep up with it.
It's the cheapest around.
It is. We don't have the cheapest fuel. I track fuel every surrounding county. I track fuel every Monday. We don't have the cheapest fuel. Henry County has cheaper fuel than we do. Our jet price did go up, so Carroll County's jet is cheaper than ours. So Carroll County right now is $3.52 a gallon for jet, and I'm $3.71. Yes. You can track fuel prices on airnav.com. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Anybody else?
Okay, Commissioner Price.
I'd like to go back to the equipment and.
Sure.
The arena. Talk about the John Deere side by side. Have we got the necessary safety equipment to do a runway sweeps? Figured in that light bar. I mean, last time I checked, you can't just take an active runway without some type of warning equipment.
Yeah. Well, we've spent decades driving a pickup truck up and down the runway, and it isn't kosher, and I do agree. We did not get those accessories in this quote because we felt like those prices would be hugely inflated, and it would be much cheaper for us to add any rotating light or reflective that we wanted to add on there for us to do that ourselves rather than have the company put that equipment on there at a higher price. Oh, no. No, we'll have it right before we have it out there. You're welcome. Anyone else?
I do have a question. Do you give a report to your airport
board?
Could we get a copy of that so we kind of know what's going on with the
airport? Of course. And those meetings are open to the public. I mean, I have a few commissioners that come. Absolutely.
But that would give us an idea of what you are doing and what's going on, and because nobody knows.
Resolve a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that.
Be fine. Anyone else?
Maybe just a copy of the minutes.
That'd be good.
I can do that.
Just put that in our packet.
We'll have Charlie to send them out.
Yeah. The minutes go out to every board member and anyone who attends the meeting that requests a copy. So, okay. Thank you all.
Okay, we're voting on resolution 15. So if there's not any other questions, will everyone please vote?
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries, 15 yes.
Number 22 on your agenda is Resolution 16. It's sponsored by Mayor Mark Ward to appropriate budget funds in the amount of $50,000 to cover a shortfall in the aviation fuel for the airport. Need a motion by Commissioner Arnold and a second by Commissioner Nunley. Any questions?
Madam Chairman, I do have one question.
Okay.
I know that the comment was made that not to put the full amount of money in the budget at the beginning of the year, but it seems like it's not the right thing to do. I think we should be funding, if we're supposed to fund something and she's gonna need it, why not? Or the airport needs it, why is it not funded? It ain't gonna cause property taxes to go up.
Yes, it will. And that's the reason they do it that way. I agree with you. There's two ways you can do it. But if you put $200,000 in there in fuel, how many cents is that on the property tax at 20 cents? Or 20,000 that it's bringing in, or however much it brings in? You're looking at 10 cents. Where when you know it's gonna come right back around every month because she's selling it, the reason the budget committee does it this way, and it may not be the proper way to do it, but it's the proper way for the citizens of the county, because she's not gonna be asking for this until almost all of it's sold, and it's already back in there, so you're using that same money over and over again. It's not that way with most things in the county budget, because it's, when you put it in the budget, it's spent, it don't ever come back. This money's coming back, so we're recycling it every 3 months. But if you put the whole 200,000 in there in the budget, it has to affect the tax rate. If you're putting 50,000 in, or whatever we put in, the difference to fund the whole year is definitely going to raise the property taxes.
But we're taking tax money and giving it to her.
It's the same money that she's turning back in, though. She's turning it in as she makes the sales, and we're just reallocating it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, in my simple mind, no, but it's okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
If it wasn't coming back in, it wouldn't make any sense at all. But she's not going to be asking for it until she needs it again, and she's already turned it in every day when she's sending her credit card receipts and her checks and everything to the trustee. So the money's already back in there. You're just reallocating it.
Terry, if you put 200,000 in the year, you've got to cover that somehow. The revenues, or in the budget, I mean, you use a smaller amount, you have to cover it, but then you have that return coming in, it goes to the general fund, but then it's there to appropriate back out to buy fuel, so you're using less money to operate during the year.
I've asked for years for the state to let that money stay in her account instead of going to the general fund, but you can't do that. It would make sense to allocate her 50,000 and it just stay in her account to buy it with, but we have to do a resolution for it.
Okay, that's good.
It would probably help if we had her, airport board meeting minutes. We said, this month I deposited X. We got 50,000, but I deposited back 62, whatever it may be. That way we can see the coming and going. We're giving her money, but she's depositing back in the general fund, so it's a lot. That's just the way they do it. It's the way we got to do it.
But y'all haven't been seeing that, so we'll make sure you get those minutes.
All we see is the going out.
Yep.
We don't see the coming in.
I got you. Thank you.
Okay, any other question? If not, everyone please vote. This is Resolution 16.
No, change your vote. Motion carries 16-0.
Number 23 is appointing of notaries. We have 5: Sherry Allant, Amanda Joe Butcher, Ashley McCann, Glenda Phillips, and Emma Linda White. Need a motion? We have one by Commissioner Arnold and a second by Commissioner Holland. All in favor of the notaries, please vote to approve the notaries. Okay, you can voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Take care of the notice. We have a resolution that our Director of Schools, Mark Florence, has asked that we add to tonight's meeting because it is very important. It has to do with the Education Freedom Act. So I'll need a Motion to suspend the rules to bring this resolution to the floor.
Madam Chair, make a motion to suspend the rules, bring resolution number 17.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Miller? No, wait a minute. Commissioner Nunley? Is that
It
you?
doesn't matter if I think it's killer.
Okay. So it's Melton and Miller. Does everybody have a copy of that resolution 17? Okay, it's a resolution by Director of Schools Mark Florence to voice opposition to Governor Lee's Education Freedom Act in the solidarity with the action and will of the Benton County Board of Education. Do we have any questions for Mr. Florence? I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself too. Okay, this is to suspend the rules. Everyone please vote to suspend the rules. Okay. It is approved. Now we're talking about the resolution number 17. Does everybody have a copy of it? Do you have any questions for Mr. Florence? He's still here with us. I think this is kind of referred to as the voucher bill. I'm sure we all know about this. Okay, there are no questions or anything, so everyone please vote if you're in favor of this bill or not. Do we have any other business? Okay, I have a couple announcements. Don't forget about the special called meeting. The Budget Committee has a special called meeting set for January 30th. It's on Thursday night at 5 p.m. Everyone is welcome to attend that meeting. I received an email about filing my statement. Your Tennessee Ethics Commission, your statement. Yeah, it's called Statement of Interest. They did state on there that if you are not, if they don't have your email, you will not be receiving a letter to remind you to file this. It's really short when you go online to file it. I've already filed mine. It didn't take just a couple of minutes, really. But it's got to be filed by January 31st. So if you need some more information about it, I've got it. And then the other announcement is every year we have County Government Day in Nashville. That's coming up next month, 17th and the 18th. Those meetings are good to come to be at. We talk a lot about, our County Commission Association talks a lot about the bills that are coming up in legislation, and we vote to support or not support those bills. It gives us the chance to voice our opinion about a lot of those bills.
Is it community credit hours for in-service training for people like you?
It's the February the 17th and 18th. Yeah, some of those classes you get credits. If you need credits for against your county commission training, you can get credits for County Government Day. It's the 17th and 18th. Yeah, the 17th is the main day. That's the all-day meetings.
But they ask for like registration online.
Yeah, you can go online and register for that. And on the 18th, they have a breakfast at the Cordell Hull building. And it also gives you that morning to try to meet with any of your legislators if you want to see them and talk to them. It's a good thing to come to. I would like to see some more of y'all there at this to represent Benton County. 17th and 18th of February. The meetings start on the 17th that morning. And that's all I've got. Anybody else got anything? If not, I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Arnold? Who else? Okay, you got it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.
So